Liv and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. If you are, hi, my name is Liv. It is so nice to finally meet you. So good morning and happy release date to the Tower of Nero by Rick Riordan, which is the fifth and final book in the Trials of Apollo series. So I've decided that since it is a book that has meant so much to me and so many others, that it is the finale to the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles, I wanted to document my experience in this little reading vlog. And I did ask you guys on Twitter if you wanted me to make this spoiler-filled or spoiler-free, and the consensus was spoiler-filled, so there will be spoilers for the Tower of Nero inside here. But it is early morning on release day, so I have my Camp Half-Blood shirt on, and I am about to run to Target to go pick up my copy. So we got it. It is here, it is in my hand, and I'm trying really hard not to start crying because it's just hitting me that these books are over. So I'm very sad, very nostalgic, but I'm really excited to see what's inside, and I'm scared. Like, if you watched my fan theories video, which I will have linked down below, if you haven't, I am very nervous about what's to come, what a lot of people think is going to happen. I did read the inside flap, and he makes a reference to Will Solace in the little blurb. So going back to the theories about how everyone thinks that Will's gonna die, I'm getting a little more nervous. I could not find it on the shelves, so I went up to the girl that worked and I showed her a picture of it, and I was like, "Do you have this in stock by any chance?" And she goes, "Is that the one that just came out today?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "I haven't even put them on the shelves yet. I'll be right back." And so she went and she got me a copy, which was very nice. But now I am about to grab some lunch on my way home, go home, and dive in. Hello, so we are one chapter down. The fact that I'm holding this in my hands, I don't know if I'll ever get used to that. But we just heard a prophecy on a train. This wastes no time, talking about how the son of Hades will lead them to the throne and that their fates are now completely up to Nero, which, we're starting off on a high note. And then the conductor of the train has turned out to be some kind of creature that Meg knows. So I think it's about to get interesting. So Apollo has officially mentioned the Celtic gods, which, if you don't know, Rick Riordan has announced that his next type of mythology that he is writing about is about the Celtic gods. So they've kind of been now officially introduced into the world here, into the Riordanverse. So I'm really excited to learn more about them in the next series. I actually, admittedly, I know nothing about Celtic mythology, but now that we have this mentioning, and I believe Mallory Keene from Magnus Chase will have something to do with the next series. So we're getting some more hints. It's starting to be set up. Hi, so I'm about 50 pages in right now, and I just want to take a second to talk about the Jackson-Rufus family. We have not seen Percy yet because, of course, Apollo and Meg arrived at the apartment and he and Annabeth had just left for college, but the fact that Percy graduated high school and he had a blue cake just makes my heart so happy. So a little bit of a shame that we had just missed them, but I'm sure they will be making their grand entrance later on. But the fact that little Estelle is so adorable, she already has my heart, and the fact that Sally and Paul are such giving people, they're so nice that they just welcomed them all in for dinner. I'm thinking about how Sally had started off being married to Gabe in The Lightning Thief, and just the way that she's evolved from Gabe all the way up to Paul, Paul's a king. I love Paul Rufus. And I also do want to briefly talk about Lou and how Apollo doesn't trust her, but she is, of course, Meg's guardian. She is the one who has taken care of her all this time that Meg was with Nero growing up as a child. But because Apollo doesn't trust her, I honestly think that Lou is going to die during the battle at some point, gaining Apollo's trust. I'm just throwing that out there. That is a current theory of mine, that I do think she is going to die to earn some trust, or she'll die after earning trust. Either way, I really don't think Lou's gonna make this out alive. Hello, so quick update. I am officially 100 pages into the Tower of Nero. They are back at camp. I love Nico and Will with all my heart. I'm so happy to see them again, even though probably not the most ideal circumstances, but I did take a mini break to run some errands, get some dinner, and I made a Deadpool list of the people I think could potentially die, and then I will complete the list with people who do actually die in the book. But I wanted to put together a list, kind of some guesses of some people who might not make it out. Obviously at the top of the list are Will and Nico, because a lot of the theories think that they're gonna die, and with the way that their plot is kind of set up, I could see it. I do think, again, that Lou is going to die, proving herself to Apollo, so she's on the list. I also think that one of the Victor twins, Holly and Laurel, I think one of them is gonna die, specifically because I feel like in a lot of series, if there is a set of twins, one of them doesn't make it out at the end. Yes, I am looking at the Weasley twins that I never forgave her for that. Sherman Yang and Miranda Gardner I also have on here. If they kind of were like the Selena and Beckendorf of the Trials of Apollo, I could see that happening, but I'm not too sure. And I also have Percy and Annabeth on here, specifically from a couple of the theories that I had read in my video that I put up yesterday. And then I also have Kayla, but it could also either Kayla or Austin, but I feel like Kayla would be the more likely one to die out of the two. I don't know why, just kind of a vibe that I get. And the last on the list is Rachel Dare, specifically because they talk a lot about the Oracle of Delphi, and she is currently the priestess of Delphi and the Oracle. So I don't fully trust that she's gonna make it out either, but I hope I'm wrong on all of these counts. I don't want any of them to die, but they're going to. All right, so I'm going to run a quick bubble bath, get some more reading done, and we'll see how far we can get tonight. Hello. Okay, so we have much to discuss. A lot has happened. So I am a little over the halfway mark. I'm a little over 200 pages in, so I'm hoping I can get this finished tonight because I think it's only like 8 p.m. so like I can do it. But Meg, Apollo, Nico, and Will have been through the Cavern of the Troglodytes and worked with them a little bit, and now they have just gotten to Nero's palace, and I read the first chapter since they've arrived there. So I wanted to briefly stop and update you guys before I continued, because now things are about to pick up. From the caverns, I do want to say how much I love that Rick has really developed the relationship between Apollo and Will, even though we don't get to see them together super often, but it's really obvious as it goes on how much Will really does love his father and how much Apollo really does care for not only his children, but how much he's starting to care for all mortals. I believe he does say in one part that originally he wouldn't have cared how much destruction happened if Nero attacked New York. However, he thought of Estelle, Sally, and Paul, and how that also helped him realize that there wasn't a mortal life now that he thought of as expendable, and I just think that is some beautiful character development on Apollo's part. But now that we're with Nero and like his little like family that Meg was a part of beforehand, like his adopted kids, it's some messed up stuff in here. Like, he just had an 8-year-old take Meg's swords and cut off Lou's hands. That makes me so sad. I definitely do think she is going to die in this book, especially now that she has lost her hands. But it is about to pick up, and I'm going to get back to reading because I really need to know what happens, but just wanted to stop and update you, and I think the action's about to start. Hello, so I'm on chapter 27, and Apollo and Lou have made it out of their jail cell. Apollo is going after Meg when he is attacked and saved by Nico, who is there with the Troglodytes and the rest of Camp Half-Blood. Not exactly like the big endgame surprise battle scene that I was expecting when everyone arrived. I actually attribute that the endgame circle scene is a lot like House of Hades when Hazel brings everyone in by, you know, manipulating the mist. I thought that part was so cool, and the fact that they came out years before endgame and the two are very similar, I don't know, chief. But we haven't seen any of like the major players yet. Like any of the 7 still have yet to show up, aside from a little snippet of Jason talking to Apollo in one of Apollo's dreams that it brought a tear to my eye, honestly. Again, as I mentioned in my reacting to fan theories videos, if I was going to see Jason Grace in any shape or form in this book, I was going to be very happy. And so I'm very happy that we got to see at least a little snippet of him. Maybe we'll see more, who knows. I will be finishing this book tonight because I don't think I'll be able to sleep otherwise. But also the fact that Chiron told the first year campers that this was a field trip and they're all having the time of their lives, kicking some Germani butt. I'm scared that all of these kids are gonna die. I also really liked the parallel Rick made. Apollo makes an observation about Nero and his 12 adopted children versus Kronos and the 12 Olympians, and how Nero was kind of a next generation Kronos. I thought that was super interesting to parallel the original Percy Jackson series and the Trials of Apollo series. But anyways, I have about a little over 100 pages left, so I'm gonna read. I'm gonna get to some battle scenes, hoping the 7 come in like a big explosive entrance. Let's find out. Hold on. I will probably have a like huge update when I'm done, just because there's a lot going on right now and my thoughts are everywhere. But Rachel brought back the same blue plastic hairbrush that she threw at Luke in Battle of the Labyrinth. I wasn't expecting that, but I just love that Apollo's response was, "Sorry, I underestimated you, Rachel," I thought distantly. "You're actually kind of a hairbrush ninja. Honey, we've known this for years." Oh my god, but just needed that quick little update, just needed to throw that out there. I love this. I'm on chapter 31 and there are 39 chapters, so I will hopefully be done soon. There's so much power contained in just this amount of pages that I'm not ready for what's about to happen. Y'all, are we getting that big like crossover like everything series that I think we're getting? So Chiron just said here that he had to meet with a severed head and a cat, 2 different people, acquaintances of mine from other pantheons. We were discussing a mutual problem. This, of course, is wonderful news. So the cat, I am guessing, is Bast from the Camp Chronicles, because she's the cat goddess. And the severed head, I forget his name, but he is who Blitz and Hearth, I believe, were working for in Magnus Chase. So this fully does tie together the Greek pantheon with the Norse and Egyptian. So I think this would actually kind of relate to the novellas where Percy and Annabeth meet the Canes, where they did have to fight a common enemy where it was like different aspects of Greek and Egyptian. But if this expands to like all the pantheons, maybe after the Celtic series, maybe part of the Celtic series. So we've got a bit of downtime here between the 2 big bads. So let's chat. So I don't have too much to say at the moment, but Nero is gone. Can we just talk about the power of Lou trading her immortality, which was really just his immortality, for his own life? That math gives me such a headache and almost kind of like the paradox of it all. But my girl Lou, she really charged in here in like chapter 2 and just she's really done something here. But also just seeing Apollo say goodbye to everyone before he is gone, and now to see the Python saying goodbye to his kids that he has gotten to know over these past 6 months has just really warmed my heart. And I think that in saying goodbye to them, this will be the last time he sees them as Lester, because I think when he goes back and sees them again, he will be Apollo. He will have regained his godly status, because we're nearing the end. It has to happen. So I do think that'll happen. I do think that goodbye will just end up being his goodbye as Lester, and then Apollo's about to come back. So I just finished the Tower of Nero and have since completed the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles. Honestly, I don't even know what all I can say about this. I will be compiling my thoughts tonight, and at the end of this video I will kind of have all of my thoughts, maybe like a little mini review. But I think the relationship between Apollo and Meg throughout this entire series was so sweet. I love how much they grew to care for each other over time, how much they protected each other, loved one another. I love that we did get to see all of the 7 throughout the book, including Jason. I love that we got to see Piper and her new relationship, and I love it. I love Piper. She's always been one of my favorites. So yes, the rest of my thoughts will be in the next clip, but I will see you tomorrow. Alright, so we've had some time to think about the ending to the Tower of Nero, the final book in the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles, and I have some thoughts. So I did write them all down here, but the first one I have is, if the Grove didn't send the arrow of Dodona, who did? We do see the scene at the very end where Apollo goes to the Grove, thanks them for sending the arrow and how it saved his life, and as he's leaving, you can kind of tell that, I think they're muttering like, we didn't, or like, who sent, they say something that they did not send the arrow. So that is of course one of the big burning questions that hopefully we will figure out in the future, is who sent the arrow. And also, where is the Celangelo novel? So throughout the entire book, we see different instances where Will and Nico are both talking about some voice calling to Nico from Tartarus and how they will go together to figure out whatever it is. And they mention something about either an old friend or an old Titan, that we know it's Bob. We know Bob the Titan is somewhere down in Tartarus and he has reached out to Nico for help. So Nico and Will are potentially going to Tartarus to get Bob. So I'm gonna need either like a little novella or even a full-on Celangelo book. I will take it, Rick, if you will write it. I did have a quote written down that Will said near the end that I personally really liked, and I thought it did really nicely to wrap up the series as a whole, and it says, "No story ever ends, does it? It just leads into others." So I think this is a great kind of parallel to how we've all grown up with the Percy Jackson books. We've all spent our years reading them and loving them, and that they're not really coming to an end, but they are leading into other things, and hopefully that is the crossover that has been heavily hinted at, with Chiron mentioning that he had to meet up with some old friends, a severed head and a cat, and 2 different people, 2 different pantheons. They are clearly Egyptian and Norse, as I did mention earlier on while I was reading that scene. So the crossover is coming, guys. It's coming and I'm so excited. I can't wait. It's probably not going to be for years yet, but the epic crossover is coming. Next, I do actually want to talk a little bit about the 7 and how we did get to see all 7 of them in this novel, including Jason, which I really loved. That really kind of pulled at my heartstrings, that I got to see my boy. I got to see Jason in kind of ghost form in one of Apollo's dreams, and I love that we got to see the rest of them at the very end, that Apollo got to pop in, visit some old friends. And can we just talk about Piper for a second? The fact that now that we know why Piper and Jason broke up and how she has been questioning what has been expected of her as a child of Aphrodite, as like normal relationship standards, but that she broke up with Jason because she does not like boys. And I really love that Piper was really able to kind of come into herself near the end of this book, and now that she is starting this new relationship and again really finding herself once she has gotten out of like the LA spotlight with her dad, and that she doesn't really have any expectations as Tristan's daughter, but she's free to be who she is. I'm so excited for Piper. I love her so much, and I hope we see her again in the future. I do quickly want to talk about the new prophecy. So at the very end, Rachel kind of passes out and mutters a prophecy that Nico and Will hear, but Apollo does not. And supposedly some new great prophecy, and Apollo says, he's like, I don't want to know, I'm over it, I'm done. And I'm not over it and I'm not done. So I need to know what this prophecy was. I need to know what is happening. Maybe it's the prophecy that will lead to the great crossover. I would think that that would probably be the case, since technically this was the end of the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles, so it won't center around Camp Half-Blood. So it's gotta be the prophecy for the crossover. Like, it's gotta be. Next up, I do want to quickly go back to talking about the 7 a little bit to mention the sibling relationship between Leo and Reyna. I think that is like the purest thing, that Leo and Calypso and the Hunters of Artemis are all currently staying at the way station in Indiana, I think it's in Indiana. But I love that those two groups of people are together, just kind of coexisting and living with some of their demigods, almost kind of like a mini camp of their own, and that it's run by two former hunters who are married, and I love the whole idea of the way station and that little family. So the fact that Leo and Reyna have kind of grown close together as like siblings is something that really kind of touched at my heartstrings. And last but not least, my final thought about the ending of the book is I am really excited for this new generation of Apollo campers that we're about to see that will actually have a relationship with their father. As you guys know, from any Half-Blood book that you've read, any demigod really doesn't have a relationship with their godly parent, and now that Apollo has made these permanent ties at Camp Half-Blood, he is coming back to visit, that there is about to be this whole new generation of kids that know their dad, aside from like the few children that we've seen of Dionysus, that they go to camp, but their father is the director, so they basically live with him and have that relationship. Like Castor and Pollux in the original Percy Jackson series were very close with their father. You could see how torn up Dionysus was himself when Castor died in Battle of the Labyrinth. So I'm really excited to see this new generation of Apollo kids that know their father and actually have a relationship with him. So overall, I do want to say that I really enjoyed this book. I thought this was a very solid ending to the series. It wasn't quite as explosive as I thought it was going to be. Clearly, as you saw earlier, I made an entire Deadpool for who I thought was going to die in this book, and nobody died. And I feel like as far as finales go, Rick kind of peaked with his really explosive finales with The Last Olympian. That is my favorite book of his and probably will always be my favorite book of his. But since then, we haven't really seen that explosive ending. We kind of saw it in Tyrant's Tomb before this one, but it was mostly just like leading up to what would have been an epic battle. But the epic battle that we did see between Apollo and the Python, as we see on the cover here, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such a cool ending, how they're like down in Tartarus, like about to go into like the void, and Apollo just like kicks Python off. I thought that was really cool on his part, so like kudos to Apollo. And also the fact that he like reunited with Artemis when he regained his godly status and woke up, and then he's just like sobbing while he's hugging her. Like, I love Apollo and I love Artemis so much. I love their sibling relationship. The dynamic that we've kind of seen portrayed over the past 15 years with these books has been great, and getting to see them as siblings from Apollo's point of view has been really, really cool to read. As far as finales goes, I would put this after Heroes of Olympus, but before Magnus. I think Magnus, the ending of Magnus wasn't my favorite. The ending of Cain Chronicles wasn't totally my favorite, but I would kind of put this somewhere in the middle. I really liked the ending for Last Olympian, as I mentioned. Heroes of Olympus was good, wasn't totally explosive, but it was really good, and I think this kind of comes in like a close third. But as far as endings go, I really enjoyed it. I will 100% read this again. I am actually starting a reread of all of his books, so you'll see these in some wrap-ups soon now that I can read all of them in order from the start of the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles to the very end. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please sure to give it a big thumbs up and comment down below if you have read this book already, which I hope you have because this was full of spoilers. If you have read this book already, please let me know what your favorite part was down below. I really want to know. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, you can do so by hitting that button down below. And thank you again so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.